Hello everyone, my name is Joanna. Thank you so much for coming back. For those of you who are my subscribers, thank you so much for coming back. For those of you who are new, welcome. I hope whatever you find here you will like, and I hope you stay. Let me just be very brief. Interesting messages in the month of March. For one, they flowed very differently. There seems to be a lot of transformation going on, and I do, particularly in the month of March, and it seems to be consistent with almost every single sign. Very, very consistent. So if you are drawn to a certain sign that you don't necessarily look at, by all means listen and see if there's a message there for you. The messages are not time bound, which means there is no end and beginning. These messages may make sense to you because they have happened. You are in the middle of it happening, or it will happen at some point down the road. So do yourself a favor. If it doesn't make sense to you right away, listen to it in a few weeks' time or even a few months. And from those of you who are regular subbies and subscribers and you do comment, it looks like 98% of you find that this makes sense with as time passes. Also, my focus and intention is always, always, always to give you something to think about that will help you understand yourself more deeply. In other words, my focus isn't on predicting. If an information comes through that is of futuristic nature, I am more than happy always to give. However, my focus is more about helping you understand how you create, how you make things happen. Because the moment you know how to make things happen, you will stop waiting for someone to tell you what's going to happen, because you'll be able to create it. And that is always my aim. That is what I want to teach. That is what I do teach. And that is how Spirit is working with me. What can I give you to help you see yourself as the master of your own creation that you are, so that you can understand? And once you understand, you can create in a different way. So that is always my intention, and I hope that whatever comes through falls with that. Let's put it that way. I think that's all I have for you. Listen to the other signs if these don't make sense. Of course, this is general. It may not fit with everybody, although I'm very surprised how many of you are responding and saying this is exactly what you're going through. So also, very quickly, again, the layout is very different. I don't even have a layout this month, and it was mostly intuitive. So you will see some of the messages. I look at cards, and some of them I don't even look at cards because it's flowing. So the way information is flowing for me is also very different. So I am under also a transformation, if you will. And I think that's all I have. Of course, there's a 6-month projection for you down below from January till the end of June. If you're more interested in that information is there. And more than anything, thank you so much for liking, for sharing, for coming back. For those of you who are new, welcome. I hope you stay. Have yourself a wonderful month of March. And yeah, let's get going. Hello, beautiful Libras. These are going to be your messages for the month of March 2019. So just like with the other signs, I feel these messages this month are different the way they flow. They're much more intuitive, to the point where I don't really look at the cards. I just look at them and then I get stuff and I just kind of forget about the cards. So let's see how this goes for you. So needless to say, the setup is different once again, and I don't know about you. I like consistency, so when Spirit has me hopping all over the place, it keeps me on my toes, that's for certain. But it makes things interesting for me, because apparently if I get stuck for too long in one place, then I'm not growing, and the same would be for you. So and I know I'm saying this for a reason to somebody. I've been doing this long enough that I know that whenever this kind of a message comes through, it's because I may be talking about me, but I'm really talking to somebody, you. All right. So the words for you for March are resilience, hope, and this statement. Communion with self is very important. Now, I'm not a religious person. I know what a communion is. When we commune with someone or another, we make it a part of life, a part of our life. So decide what communion with self means to you. To me, it symbolizes, what does it symbolize? Let me just feel this out. Full acceptance of. This is what I get when I look at this phrase or at this statement. So let's leave this for now and let's see where this goes. I keep seeing the number 8. So 8 is always obviously August. It is the number of strength. To me, it symbolizes strength acquired and strength required. So maybe that's what your hashtag or tagline should be for March. Strength required and strength acquired. And we acquire strength by asserting our strength often. So what is the central theme for you in the month of March? Well, interesting. The card that you got was stuck in the mud. Is that what it says? Yeah, stuck in the mud. And this is stuckness due to your own sense of needing to get things a certain way. In other words, you have a certain vision, and this vision is what you are supposed to have, and you're going to hold yourself to that vision very strictly, and before you know it, you find yourself being stuck. I have this funny feeling that the universe has different plans for you. Not because they're bad, they're just different. And if you are feeling stuck, first and foremost, ask yourself, am I stuck because of my own inability to see the truth? Or am I stuck because of other reasons? The first one is about needing things to go in a certain way, and it's not happening, so you are stuck. But perhaps it's not happening because the way you're seeing it's supposed to be is not the way it's supposed to be. In other words, the universe has a far greater view of our path and of our journey. And oftentimes, what we think we want and how we want it are not what we need. So we think we need certain things, but actually oftentimes what we need is quite something different. So ask yourself this question: where in my life am I stuck? Because I have assumed the ability. I have decided that things are going to look this way or that way, and I'm stuck. Either something is not progressing fast enough, you're not getting something is not leaving you, whatever. You get the idea of stuckness. For those of you who are hearing this, the stuckness is all about you not letting go of your need to control. Woo! That's interesting. And that may make you feel very moody in the month of March. So the King of Cups, when I asked for clarification, this is what came up. Now, to see this as a person, I don't read tarot cards, but to see this as a person, yes, obviously this means that you may be dealing with a person who is like a King of Cups. It is someone who would be in authority, and they could be they could feel emotionless, or they could feel like they're not able to emotionally give you what you need. And this might very well be a relationship. This could also be a situation where you are involved yourself in something, but emotionally you're not getting much out of this situation. And notice if that is the case, and I'm feeling almost tired when I say this. I wonder if some of you who are listening to this are not in a situation where you're hoping for a different result than what you're getting, but it's just not happening. It's not happening. And if you are one of those persons, perhaps it's time for you to go, okay, let me reassess. Is this where I want to be? And if this is where I want to be, why do I want to be there? Why is this situation so important to me, to the point that I can't imagine anything better than this? And that statement may apply to all of you in different ways. All of you will determine what that is for you. But this is one interpretation, that you may be dealing with a person who can't give you what you need emotionally. You may be feeling very moody because things are not going your way. Or you are in a situation where something emotionally is not fulfilling to you and you feel stuck. Chances are, if this is the case for you, it's because you're no longer supposed to be there. So let me just move on to the next message. Generosity and desperation came up. So let me tell you how I feel this. I feel some of you, many of you in fact, have this incredible ability to give to another, but you often give yourself away in order to belong, to feel like you're needed, to be loved, to be nurtured, to be liked, to be accepted, all the things that we need as human beings. And desperation is a message that basically says, unless I have this, I'm gonna die. And obviously it's not a physical death. You guys know what desperation is. For those of you who are stuck, I want you to notice if this is true for you. Are you someone who is incredible at giving, but you give so much, you give yourself away, and you do that because it gets you something in return? Generally, it's to do with safety and security, which may be what's happening in this situation. Perhaps you are in a situation where you're giving and giving and giving, and it's still not happening. And it's time for you to look at this. Spiritual sovereignty is a message that talks about who or what do you stay true to? What inspires you? What fuels you? What fuels your thoughts? So spiritual sovereignty for me is all about aligning with what your truth is. And in order to know what your truth is, you need to get rid of this clutter in your head, or purify your mind. In other words, our truth is deep inside, but it's often layered by a whole bunch of fears that we have. So if you are one of those people who overgives, and that's because you're trying to get something in return, love, respect, whatever it is, you are not being true to yourself. You are being true to your fears, but your fears are not you. So it's time to rethink that idea. I feel the month of March is a time of realignment. Not only that, there is a card of transformation that is being shown. We all know what transformation is. I've said this a million times, and I pretty much say it in every message, because we're all going through massive transformation. Some people will be affected by it more than others. Notice the number 5 and 2, or 2 and 5. 2 is choices and decisions, which I believe is what you will be making. Not necessarily in March, but at some point. And 5 is the number of changes. 2 and 5 is 7. And to me, it's a number of, I always see this as a number of enlightenment. Enlightenment generally happens when we go through situations that are often challenging and sometimes difficult. We begin to realize certain things about ourselves that we have either not known before, or we have shoved so deep down that we lost perspective of who we are. And as we enter into these new energies, let's call it the 5th dimension, and even saying it when we enter, we're not entering anything. It's a state of mind. I think I've mentioned it in one of the other messages. 5th dimension is the state of mind. And when our state of mind is mostly mentally connected, logically connected, mental, and our state is not heart, feeling our heart, then we're not in a fifth dimension. But that is for a whole different conversation, and I'm getting a whole bunch of downloads on this lately. So what I'm trying to say is that if you're going through a transformation, doesn't surprise me, you're supposed to go through a transformation. And transformations happen for a reason. They transform you into something you think you are not, usually something better. And it's also time to heal. Anytime we go through transformation, we see things that pop up to the surface. Usually things from the past, usually things that have been lurking deep down below, and their scars and their pain, but they come up during transformation in order for two to be transformed. So this is a time of healing. It is also a time of letting go of old wounds. That is what I'm getting. Also, some of this is for you who are healers. I seem to be having a lot of messages pertaining to healers, and I personally believe we're all healers, and that's my belief. Whether we choose to look at it that way or not, that's up for discussion. Whether we believe it or not, that's a whole different discussion altogether. The point is, we all have the ability to heal, but you will identify this more with the traditional healing. So yes, for some of you, it is the traditional way of healing, whether it be regular traditional healer or non-traditional healer and everything in between. But more than anything, this is a time to be healed. And particularly if you are a healer, then your ability to help heal another will be magnified when you heal your wounds. Now, I'm supposed to say what healing really means. Actually, okay, what does healing really mean? So right away, what I get is an image of a balance and balance. Healing, according to Spirit, is coming to a state of balance, whatever that is. It's not 50-50, it's not black and white, it's somewhere in between, right? So that is what healing really means. If we can bring ourselves back to balance as much as we possibly can, it will allow us to, number one, be much more balanced on a regular basis, emotionally speaking, but also we will absolutely not have desperations around being loved, and we will not give ourselves away because we will feel no need to. So those are some of the things that are coming up for you in the month of March. Also, some of you may feel lack of clarity pertaining to the situation that I'm talking about, or in general, lack of clarity. You might be asking yourself, what am I here for? And that is always a really interesting question, because I often get asked the question, what's my purpose? And our purpose is to experience. It's really that simple. And what we experience, we have come to what we have come to experience. We have certain agenda, but by no means it's strict or it's written in stone. That's where free will comes in. So always remember this: the reason why you're here is to experience. What you experience is up to you. How you experience it is based on your belief system. So it's important that you look at what your belief system is. And that's why we go through different experiences early in our life, in order to solidify a platform that is our belief system. And based on our belief system, we then go on and create our lives. So it sounds like for some of you, that's actually a great number of you, no more justification, no explanation required. Okay, so this is a phrase: no justification and no explanation required. I feel some of you are used to apologizing all the time. And if you are one of those people, notice just how much you apologize and ask yourself the question, why? Why do you feel the need to apologize for everything? So that's going to be a message for some of you. Another message here is, when you stop apologizing, you start creating more. Why is that? When you apologize for something, it denotes that you are responsible for something you are not. So you are energetically attaching yourself to things that aren't yours. That's actually really interesting. As you probably already know, words are extraordinarily important, whether they're spoken out loud or they're the tapes running at the back of our head. What we tell ourselves on a regular basis, knowingly or otherwise, is either what builds us up or tears us down. So for those of you who are stuck and you're not getting what you want, and perhaps you're overgiving to other people because you want something and it's out of desperation, that is not a balanced state. And how you proceed going forward with wherever you are right now is going to determine the rest of your future. Now, that's a huge statement. Think about it. If you are stuck and nothing is happening, you need to kind of step aside and ask yourself, okay, perhaps I'm here because I want it this way, but perhaps it's not supposed to be this way, but I don't know that yet. In which case, what would be required from you is to let go of the control or let go of the reins. Now, for those of you who are acting out of desperation to be loved, to be needed, to be accepted, to be admired, whatever that is, to feel important, letting go of the reins, of letting go of control, that can prove to be very difficult. Why? Well, because you allow yourself to be extra vulnerable. And vulnerability is a funny thing. Vulnerability is a strength, but vulnerability can really make one hide. And I'm sure many of you know this. So why is this coming up? Because when we look at our most vulnerable places, and we look at these vulnerabilities as strengths in the making, we will begin to embrace ourselves more often rather than rejecting ourselves away. Now it makes sense to me why it says communion with self is very important. To me, communion is acceptance. It's a form of acceptance. When we commune with somebody, we're we're being accepted or accepting of. So coming full circle now, as I see the message, it's about finding sustenance inside of you. Whatever it is that you are seeking and whatever it is that you are stuck on, whatever it is that you're wanting to get out of the situation but you're not getting it, you have to ask yourself this question: what does that feel like? What's the feeling I'm after? If you're after safety and security, no one can permanently give you that. It does not exist. Yes, people can momentarily make you forget that you are not feeling safe and secure. Money can also momentarily make you forget that you are not feeling safe and secure inside. However, if you keep on feeling not safe and secure and you have a whole bunch of money, eventually those two contradicting systems will reject one another. In other words, you'll push money away. If you're looking for a beautiful relationship that is full of love and respect, and you don't have respect for yourself because you have no boundaries and you keep giving yourself away, the relationship that you will attract to yourself is going to be similar to the one you have with yourself. In other words, you're not going to feel important because you don't feel important enough to you. So I don't know where this message is going. It's kind of off track, but I'm just floating with it and see how it goes. Hopefully this message is going to find its owners one way or another. The drum is a really interesting message. This is actually, I think, the first time this card came up ever since I bought this deck. It's quite a few months ago, at least 6 months now. And the moment I tune into this card, it's almost like, you know, when a drum rolls, something is about to go ta-da! Yeah, almost like, you know, the cake is about to open up and something comes out of the cake, a surprise. That is what I feel. I feel the universe has surprises for you. But if you're stuck because you're clinging to something, because you're desperate, these surprises may take a while, or, well, they may take a while. Let's put it that way. So any of you who have the need to control either your life or a situation, I feel life has plans for you. Plans perhaps that you haven't anticipated yet. Based on your own idea of who you are, we anticipate certain things. What if where you are right now and what the universe has for you is like night and day? In other words, what the universe has for you is gazillion times more than what you have now. If you knew that, would you let go of whatever it is that you're stuck in? Of course you would. Of course you would. Because you'd be crazy not to, right? But because you don't know, because you're not sure, you need to trust. And in order to trust, you have to let go. That's the whole idea of transformation. And I feel for many of you, March and April, very transformative months. Not to mention that Uranus is entering the sign of Taurus. I believe it's this spring. It's either March, May, or April. Those of you who are astrologers, you will know I'm not an astrologer. So when I refer to these things, it's because they're being shown to me. Which means any outdated systems that are no longer of supporting you in terms of your growth, in terms of your potential, will need to be addressed and eventually let go of. So the sooner you can kind of familiarize yourself with that idea, the better for you. But this is almost like a drum roll, okay? Do you see this bird here? I keep seeing a hawk. That's what I see, and that's what I hear. You may see something else. To me, this hawk is looking at what I see almost like very symbolic for a gold coin. Gold coin to me symbolizes security and safety. And as I said earlier, that predominantly comes from deep inside, and what you attract to you, even in terms of money, is basically based on what value you hold upon yourself, in yourself. So the hawk here to me symbolizes sureness, resilience, one-track mind. In other words, the hawk has a vision and he doesn't waver. And it's a higher perspective because the hawk is incredible hunter, which means his eyes are very, very sharp and his sight is very keen. So, but his sight is very keen, but it also has to be done from a distance. In other words, this is a metaphor for you looking at a higher perspective, or looking at things from a higher perspective. And from a higher perspective, ask yourself what your aim is. What is it that you're after? What is it that you want? If you want a sense of belonging, you can't make one give that to you. It doesn't come from anything or anyone in the universe. It only comes from you. So the more you hang on to something that is not giving you that, the more unfulfilling or unfulfilled you will feel. The month of March, it's about letting go of the hooks. I see the devil card in my mind, and that's the hook. Those are those attachments that keep us stuck, that keep us like puppets on a string, and whatever is holding us or has a hold on us is making us move. And I feel like you are letting go of those attachments. Amazing time. Amazing. I feel that's an amazing message for you. The moment you begin to value yourself is the moment where you begin to prosper inside. And the moment you begin to feel that prosperity inside of you, the whole world opens up to you because you are a magnet. No point being stuck in a situation that doesn't serve you. Okay, even if you've invested a lot of time and put a lot of effort, if you're stuck and there's no difference in sight or no change in sight, you have to step away and you have to ask yourself this question: is this really what I want? Is this really what I want? And what does it represent? Anyways, you guys get the picture. Again, the words for March is resilience, hope, And communion with self is important. It's all about acceptance. Perhaps the transformation for you is all about you learning how to accept yourself. And oftentimes when we are in situations, particular relationships, where we feel less than, rejected, not taken care of, we don't feel important, it is more often than not due to the fact that these are the things we feel about ourselves, and this is the relationship we have with ourselves. So do yourself a favor, find a different way to have a relationship with you, and then notice what the universe gives to you as a result. Okay? You may want all the riches of the world. If your idea about you is not consistent in terms of your value and how high you hold yourself in terms of value, you'll have difficulty attracting something consistent, okay? Also, if your belief about you isn't consistent with what you're trying to achieve, so let's say you want all the money, you want riches, okay? Let's use that example. But you do not feel rich inside of you because you constantly berate yourself, just as an example. It's going to be very tough for you to experience riches because it's a completely different vibration. You have to find that richness inside of you first. You have to find the worthiness inside of you first. You have to begin to believe like you matter. Doesn't matter what you do, who you do it for, or how good or not good you are. I mean, that's for debate. You are someone who's of value. Obviously, we have our morals, obviously. But unless you recognize your own value first, it's going to be tough. It's an uphill battle. So, again, we all are moving into a different frequency and vibration. And all the things that we don't believe we have or we feel we lack are all lower vibrations. And these are the things that are most likely than not to come up to the surface now. Okay? And I think that's what I have for you. Again, I hear drum roll. You know, in a drum roll, and it's somebody comes out of hiding or out of, somebody, it's a drum roll, drums anticipation, and boom, something happens. That's how I feel about you. And that's fantastic. And I want to say coming out of hiding. And with that said, I want to leave this with you. Thank you so much for allowing me to do this for you. Again, this was purely intuitive, so it makes no sense to me. I hope it makes sense to you at some point. Of course, the energy is fluid, so this is not tied to month of March only. I would invite you to check this over the next few weeks. Chances are this won't make sense to you at the very beginning, but chances are very high, like 99% high, that it will make sense to you, let's say in 8 weeks, within 8 weeks. For some of you, this may have already happened, and this is a good reminder to stay on track. And of course, for private session, that information is down below. I would be honored. Thank you again. I wish you a wonderful month of March. Take care of yourself. You're important. And see you soon.